The interior appeared to be held together by spider webs, dust, and a few rusty nails that looked like they'd originated in the Lincoln administration. The walls sagged, the ceiling sagged, the whole damn house looked like it was being pulled straight down to hell by some central sinkhole beneath it. To the right was a narrow staircase, presumably to the second floor, but Rye would be goddamned if he was setting one foot on that obvious death trap. A doorway beyond that led into a small kitchen, and through that another door led outside, where a porch even saggier than the house drooped. From the back of the house, far away, Rye could see the peak of one solitary rooftop. Had he moved to some kind of ghost town? He walked a little ways away, because, seriously, the house— God, his house— looked like it could collapse at any second, and sank into a crouch, hand clasped across his mouth to keep in the sound of his panicked breathing. Fuck. He squeezed his eyes shut. What did I do? He was 1,000 miles from the only place he'd ever lived. No one knew where he was except the friends he'd been crashing with and some lawyer he'd never met. What little money he had wouldn't last more than a week if he spent it on a hotel, and he didn't even know where a grocery store was. The house would clearly make an excellent playground for Marmot, but Rye would rather sleep in a cozy open grave. A hush came through the grass, and Marmot jumped onto his shoulder and butted his head. Her orange tail flicked his back like a windshield wiper. Meow. Her tiny voice matched her small form, but not her fierceness. It'll be okay, he assured her. I'll figure something out. Rye stood slowly so he wouldn't displace Marmot, and did what he'd learned to do over years of evictions, challenging roommates, getting fired, getting robbed, and getting dumped. He looked at the situation and chose to acknowledge all the dimensions of it. Dimensions, as he thought of them, weren't positive or negative. They were simply the truth of how he felt about things. It smells good here, Fresh air and trees and shit? Rye said firmly, eyes searching the landscape. Marmot purred against his neck. And we've got all this space to ourselves. I bet we could yell and no one would care. The sinister implications of that hung in the air, and Rye acknowledged them too. I could walk around naked whenever I want, once it gets warmer anyway. And hey, we could barbecue outside. I'll just, learn how to make a fire. And barbecue. Marmot perked up at that. Yeah, I'll make you a chicken. Or, I don't know, wild birds? Maybe you'll catch a bird and, well, then you'd probably just eat it raw. Gross, dude. Still, we can make s'mores. And... Rye racked his brain for more dimensions. He couldn't stay in a hotel. He wasn't about to go back to Seattle, where nothing awaited him but no job and the search for another couch to crash on. This property and the crumbling ruin on it were all he had. Marmot, Rye said, we're going to figure out how to build a house. Rye unrolled his sleeping bag in the corner of the living room that looked in least imminent danger of collapse. Marmot curled inside the sleeping bag with him, her tiny weight a great comfort. Then Rye did what anyone who'd spent their whole life figuring shit out for themselves would do. He went on YouTube and looked up how to build a house. The results were overwhelming, and mainly featured teams of very strong-looking men hoisting walls in groups of 7 or 8. So Rye refined his search. How to fix a house that's falling down alone. Not good. How to fix a house that's been abandoned alone. Very not good. How to fix a hell site that's clearly been blasted by an otherworldly curse. Alone. Interesting ghost hunter videos that he bookmarked for later perusal, but not useful. Rye sighed. He didn't want to waste his phone battery, but panic was starting to creep in again, so he put on Riven's first album and let himself listen to his favorite 3 tracks to distract himself enough to go to sleep. Theo Decker's voice sank into him, honey-warm and sharp as a razor. The album was years old, but it soothed him every time. Now it helped drown out the terrifying sounds that Rye assumed were nature. They definitely weren't the creepy sounds.